This video is not for whales and dolphins. It's for you, because you are just like me. Average Gamer here, and today I want to talk about power creep in Zenless Zone Zero. And I know I've weighed in on this before, but my opinion is starting to shift the deeper we go into the game. And seeing as my audience is mostly free-to-play and low-spend players, I want to share that opinion now, just in case my concerns are warranted, because I want to give you some warning in case you end up pulling a character you're not sure on right now, and then later really regretting that decision. So where we are in the game right now, two different things could be argued about power creep. Either A, every single limited character is better than the last and power creep is rampant, or B, that Zenless Zone Zero is still establishing its baseline for limited character power and that we're worrying too soon about power creep. And the truth is probably somewhere in between. But when I weighed in on power creep before, I was much more on the B side. In other words, that we were still establishing the baseline, but that was 5 months ago, and that was before literally every single character being better than the last for the previous 5 months. Then it might be time to discuss the idea that Zenless Zone Zero could be trending more in that power creep direction. So let's break it down. For context, and what got my cogs turning on this was a conversation that I had on stream with content creator and theory crafter Jay Stern about the current state of Zenless Zone Zero and power creep in general. And here's what he said.
Miyabi is 100% more damage than Ellen. Ellen does not have a 100% gain from her Mindscapes. So even if you pull M6 Ellen, you are doing less than M0 Miyabi.
Ouch.
So the difference between the 1 and the 6 here is literally another 1.
Now, we could argue that Ellen as an attack character and being part of a different faction has different team options to Miyabi, but Miyabi is so flexible with her additional ability that it probably doesn't matter that much. And maybe we could make the argument that Miyabi is our first Void Hunter and therefore she is supposed to be really strong, but doesn't that kind of invalidate the players that heavily invested into Ellen at the start of the game when we had no idea what element Miyabi was even going to be? Of course, we can always make the waifu over meta point, but as we go deeper into the game, if your waifu can't clear because the Ice Week content has been designed around a far more powerful character, it's not going to be feeling great. And as a player, I think it's so key to play with teams that you actually want to play with. So we're going to move forwards talking more about power creep in general, and then what you can do as a player to work around it. But before then, this is your reminder that you probably aren't subscribed. Liking and subscribing is the best way to support creators like me on YouTube. You can drop me a follow over on Twitch as well if you want to catch streams where we hang out with other creators, help people to clear endgame content, and chill. You can also join the Discord if you want to ask for advice and hang out with some chill Zenless Zone Zero players. Now, back on topic, let's also touch on why power creep is a necessary part of gacha games, because it keeps players interested and wanting to pull for different characters. Gacha games wouldn't make any additional money if you got the strongest teams in the game within a month or so of playing, and therefore you could continue to play for free while they continue to drop new content and characters that don't change the fact that you already have the best teams, and therefore you won't spend any money. So then there's no incentive for the game to keep making content. So gacha games have to have some amount of power creep for them to encourage the players to keep playing and pulling and making those players more likely to spend money. And there are other ways to keep players investing money and time into the game too. Great character design, interesting combat mechanics, and skins, for example. And right now, it feels to me that Zenless Zone Zero is doing everything all at once, including raising the power level of the agents every patch. Now, I really don't think they have to. Evelyn could literally heal the enemy, and I'd still pull for her. But it's not just about you and I. Most players care about character power, so by continuously raising the bar for power, players are forced to pull or they fall behind. And as we head into a post-Miyabi Zenless Zone Zero, we are really going to see how Hoyo approaches power creep, because right now, pre-Evelyn release, we could still argue that baselines are still being established. So if that's true, then the two upcoming attack characters should re-baseline attack as being weaker than Miyabi and closer to Ellen and Juyuan. But going from 1.0 to 1.5/6 means we're likely to see Evelyn and Ambi2 Electric Boogaloo being more useful characters than Ellen and Juyuan, which is fine. However, if Evelyn and Ambi2 Judgment Day are similar to Miyabi strength level, not as strong but close to, it'll be kind of concerning, and I think that we could be moving too fast. Because without getting dedicated supports that buff Ellen or Juyuan only, and buff them in a way that they are still competitive, those characters could be left behind, and that sucks. So as we head deeper into the game, we will really see how they want to handle power creep. And I'm hopeful that Ellen or Juyuan do get buffed by a support or two, but we can't guarantee that. And to be clear, Ellen and Juyuan are still perfectly capable of clearing endgame content, but when we start to get content designed around the newer, stronger characters, they may start to struggle. So as players, should we change the way that we approach the game right now? Maybe a little, yeah. Realistically, most free-to-play or low-spend players will get enough polychrome and pulls to pull one character per patch, and I think that when looking ahead, we normally have info on 4 characters at a time, because we get the drip marketing for the patch ahead. So picking just one character that you're excited for and then deciding on who looks like they might be the best to run with them is probably the right approach. But my guess is that most players will be doing this anyway. I think that this gets more complicated now that we're getting reruns of older characters, but if the direction that Zenless Zone Zero is going in is constantly upping power levels, then we really ought not to prioritize older characters, particularly DPSs. Supports can have more staying power because it's a gacha game and they're more likely to release more DPSs. So some supports will probably last longer because there will just be less competition. But then that creates a problem for Hoyo if they power creep the heck out of older characters and then try to rerun them, which is keeping me hopeful that we're worrying unnecessarily. But then again, they're rerunning Ellen right now straight after Miyabi, and we've already talked about how much of a power difference that is, which means that they're relying on the waifu pullers. Hence, Ellen's story quest and new skin, because they're selling her from a design and story perspective and not a power level perspective. And that makes sense. But for newer players though, I still think it makes the most sense to get a couple of current or newer DPS agents that you want to play first and then work on their supports following that. But for players who have been playing a bit longer and already have a couple of solid damage dealing characters, prioritizing more support characters will probably give you more staying power. Ultimately though, it's about synergy, building teams around the characters that you want to play. This is still very much a waifu over meta point, but realistically, for you to run your favorite characters, you have to think about their team too. So if you want 3 teams with Evelyn, Miyabi, and Jane Doe, then build teams around those characters. And if we reach the point where Jane Doe can't keep up, then you'll have solid supports to slot into a new team. And should Jane ever receive a more niche support that buffs her specifically, then you can pick them up to open up your Jane options again. And that's what I hope to see moving forward, is we'll get more niche supports that buff some of our older characters. Now, I do think that I could be jumping too soon here, but preparing for the potential of power creep to be rampant and then it not happening will be fine. But not preparing and then not being able to get all the rewards from clearing endgame content would be less fine. Will it matter in the grand scheme of things? No, of course not. It's just a video game, and if you're newer to the game, you lost to 50 this patch, you only got 1 character, and you can't full clear right now, don't panic. You will get there. It's a marathon and not a sprint, and the amount of rewards you get for clearing isn't really even that much, so really, don't sweat it. I think as long as you're having fun with the game, that's the right way to play. Whether you're a newer player or older player, and currently the bar for clearing the endgame content isn't that high, so you will get there even without your favorite character's best team. And should that bar get higher, hey, at least we were prepared for it. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this down below. If we are going in the direction of power creep, I think it's better to think logically and be prepared for that. But if that thought was correct, then at least you were prepared. Another video of mine should have popped up now. If you're interested, give it a click. I'm off now to say, screw you, power creep, and pull more DPSs, of course. As always, remember to like and subscribe for better than average luck on your pulls, pull responsibly, stay weird. Bye, 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 bye.